Ready? And we're back. Kind of. That's what we're naming the podcast, so I thought it was clever. Anyways, welcome to Awakening Warriors, where we talk about life, lessons, learning, and love. We've been gone for the past 3 weeks at least.
Probably a month.
Yeah. Which was on us 100%, because even in the past 2 weeks we could have picked a day to do this, but a lot of things have been fucked up around here. Like, a lot of shit. Just our lifestyle, I feel like. No point of, my personal ideal of, since moving here was to take advantage of the opportunity, since everything was changing as a whole, to change my life in a whole as a benefit. But due to, just a lot of different moving parts, such as not having furniture and stuff like that, we've actually declined while moving, in my personal opinion.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like you and I have different perspectives of it. I mean, I have that same perspective. Like, obviously, our gym routine sucked there for a little bit, and now we're getting back into that more regularly. But our eating, we ate out a lot, and we're drinking more pop, and we're drinking more, and yeah, which I don't know. For you, I think you get really frustrated and annoyed and whatever, but I just have more grace, understanding that there's going to be adjustment. But yeah, now I mean, there's still things that are off. We still don't have furniture, so it's not like our house is normal feeling, but some things are starting to get back.
One, I'd like to say that I'm a little just generally agitated for whatever reason right now. And two...
I know why.
And two, you know why.
I think I know why.
You think you know why, okay.
Because before we started recording this, you wanted to switch chairs, and so you're just all in a...
That might be part of it, but even before then, I probably... Yeah, anyways. That's a contributing factor, to say the least, yes. But anyways, and to second off that, the original thing that you were talking about, to say that you have understanding and I don't, or you have more understanding, you said something along those lines, right?
More compassion, I said. I might have said understanding also, but I said compassion.
I know for a fact you said understanding.
Compassion and grace.
And I have grace, and I won't say that I have compassion and understanding for the situation, but I will say that, I shouldn't say I have understanding, I just don't have compassion and grace. So I understand why things have been fucked up, and it's just the season of life at the moment, and they're due to factors that we're willing to let affect our personal lives. For instance, we have the fucking TV in our room right now. I haven't had a TV in my room since I moved out of my mom's house, probably when I was 20 years old, 19 or 20. And, so, because there's a lot of fucking reasons not to have a TV in your room. But we have no living room furniture, no TV stand, no couch, no anything. So I understand why we have it in there, but we could very easily take it out and put it there and sit on the floor and then watch TV there and then go to our room and stuff. But,
I agree.
Yeah. So, like I said, I have the understanding, but I don't. The reason I don't have the compassion and the grace is because I know we can do better. So, but.
And I think there's some aspects of our life that I have more compassion for than others. Like the TV. Realistically, that's stupid. I don't have any compassion or grace for that, because that's just dumb. We did bring it in because we were just tired and watching Halloween movies and whatever, but we easily could just not use it. But the gym situation is one where I have more compassion, because we were literally exhausted, and I have grace for human bodies in general when there's these big shifts and changes, that takes a lot out of you. So like I understood why we weren't necessarily super consistent in the gym and why that had like shifted.
I too understand why we weren't consistently in the gym. I mean,
I'm not saying you don't understand. I'm not saying I have more understanding. I said I have grace for human bodies and their adjustments and their changes.
I think you got just as much irritation and whatever as I do.
Well, yeah, I'm slightly irritated that like this morning you were all cut. As soon as I have a change in my attitude, out come the laughs. But this morning you were all cuddly and jokey and laughy, and then as soon as like the chair thing, then I can just sense your energy. I can still feel it in my chest. You're just like uptight and
Because I wanted you to listen and do what I asked you to do, not, tell me some other shit and whatever else. Because funny thing is, okay, let's go over the chair thing real quick.
So dumb.
The chair squeaks when you move. I move a lot. Like I'm just a constant mover. Because I instantly started rocking it, just because that's what I do. And so I'm like, oh fuck. Well, I'm like, we can't do this. And I was literally, we already started the camera and everything, we started the camera and everything. And I always wanted to basically, here, switch chairs with me. And you were like, and just like, what were you saying? Go ahead.
I said, grab that one.
Yeah.
There was another chair in the corner, so I said, grab that one.
So, and I knew that wasn't going to be the ideal situation, so I said, no, let's change that let's just switch. And, you like insisted that I grab that one, so I was like, fuck it, whatever, I'll grab that one. And then I grab it, I fuck up the light, I put
because you're being dramatic.
I put the chair here, and then I sat down in it, and then you're like, oh, it's not the same. Now you're way shorter, blah blah blah. And I'm like, Jesus fucking Christ, we could have just had this. And so then I had to fuck with the light again to make it work. And then literally, it ended up the exact same way. If we would have just followed my one sentence, let's switch chairs, we would have instantly like done. Like, the fucking thing would have completely been avoided. And granted, I could have handled the situation much better.
Yeah, you're still completely activated. Like, is this going to matter in 5 minutes, let alone 5 years? And you have so much, like, energy toward it. Like, okay, you were right. Oh, Jesus.
Thank you. About time. Okay, I'm
And you messed up the light because you were being dramatic. So when you told me to shut up, that was very accurate information. You're like, ooh, I'm mad, so I'm going to whip the chair out.
No. One, if you wanted me to, if you wanted to use a chair, we should have used that chair.
That's
not
lower
that
than
chair.
That one?
These two are the same height for now.
No, they're not.
Yeah, pretty much.
They're not. We can... When we're done.
Okay.
Seriously,
Either
that
way,
one's like...
Did you even put a factor into the height of the chair? Is that what you factored in when you pointed me to that chair?
No.
Okay, so it didn't even matter. So realistically, in your thought, you should have pointed me to... an intelligent observation would have been to point me to that chair rather than the chair behind the light. Versus just switching the two chairs that I wanted to do.
So over.
I don't know what to tell you.
This is not the topic of conversation at all. You're acting like a baby in drama because of a chair situation, so let's just move on. That's why you're agitated, because you were not agitated like that this morning. You just weren't.
I'm just expressing that I'm currently agitated. And I think, that was like, that was a very large factor. I'm not saying that it wasn't. I think I just find it interesting for me to go from 0 to 60.
Same.
I
find it interesting also.
So I'm not gonna sit here and act like I'm going to blame it all on the chair situation when I know that normally I don't go 0 to 60. So I go 0 to 60 quite often.
Not quite often, but there are definitely things that I'm like, this is what you're choosing to like. And yeah, maybe there are other factors, and like there's just this is the thing that breaks the camel's back or whatever.
Maybe
but
that's what I'm saying.
Oftentimes when you get like feisty like that, it's over something small. I'm like, oh, okay. But anyway, so you're just letting the audience know where you're at. Clearly, I'm in some kind of space also.
I'm glad that you can finally come to that realization and join me.
Finally? How do you know when that realization happened? That's an assumption.
Anyways.
Seriously, this is such a, like, waste. We're 10 minutes in.
No, but this is like legit. This is fucking life. This is legitimate. This is authentic and everything else. You're upset about it, and I appreciate this thing, this little situation because this is authentic. Like you were just like, oh, I should. Well, did you record the whole time? Because we could have.
Yeah, I was. I was like, were you recording while you're doing that? Because then when you sit here and try to act like you have it all together, which is exactly what you're doing
I don't
right
act
now.
like. No, I don't have it all together
As soon
at
as
all.
I have a shift in my energy and I turn to like also kind of frustrated, then you have all these laughs and you have all these smiles and like prior to that you were just pissed and I was like, okay.
For probably like literally 2 minutes, because
Yeah.
that situation took about a 2 minute.
That's fine. I'll agree. I'm not saying you were mad for an extended period of time, but you were mad and frustrated for like 2 minutes, and then as soon as I had a shift in my energy to like meet you where you were, then all of a sudden you have this shift of positivity come out of your freaking ass. Like you were pissy,
bro.
For
You're
2
just.
minutes.
I agree. I was pissy for about 2 minutes, give or take, and yeah, and then I find it enjoying, or I find enjoyment when you snap or whatever.
I didn't even snap. My like frustration came.
We'll watch it later.
We can watch it because it was not a snap. It was like, okay, now I'm just annoyed, and then as soon as that energy change happens for me, you have this manipulative like, ha 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 ha, shift in energy.
Yeah, but that's not my. I don't believe that's my my particular goal to get you irritated. At least in this situation. I'm not saying that it wasn't.
Well, it seems to be a pattern that we live out quite often.
Oh yeah, 100%. We can talk about patterns too, because patterns are really interesting.
So anyway.
Yeah. Anyways, you're starting to calm down, so.
Yeah, I can. You are too. I can feel the shift. It's not just me. So I don't necessarily say that I'm specifically an empath because I don't know. Maybe I am, but I say that I have tendencies, and so I can like literally feel, even right now in my chest, like as we have these conversations, where not just where I'm at, but also where he's at. And I don't know if it's just him that I'm like in tune to, or if I could like do that more outside of this relationship, but I can sense those things.
With other individuals.
Yeah.
I can feel myself, and I think that's, like, obviously I can feel myself get tense and tight. And then, I think if someone else is more tense or tight, that makes me feel better, probably. I don't really know.
Really?
I don't know. I think that's what happens. Because then I know. Because it's not even necessarily about a control thing for me.
I feel like it's misery loves company kind of situation. Because you're like, I'm feeling this way, which like is annoying and frustrated, and like now you are, so like that like brings like relief almost maybe to you.
I'm open to the possibility, but I don't think that's. I mean, there might be some play into that thought, but I don't think that's necessarily it. But whatever. Anyways, we're already 13 minutes into the show, and I don't even know what the fuck we're talking about. So.
I don't know. To go back and rewind, you were letting everybody know where you were. Was there like a purpose to that?
No, I just wanted to be transparent, and
So then, yes, the purpose was to be transparent. And we were planning on talking about. Oh, we were talking about our habits and like where we are and how some of those things have regressed.
Yeah, and I don't think we need to fucking dude. The flies here are fucking atrocious. Excuse me. I don't think we necessarily need to really go into that because I think if people watch this, they know that we're open in regards to expanding and contracting. And obviously this particular past month, we've been expanding in some areas and contracting in others.
Yeah,
just
that's really weird. Hold on, was it duality? Like we had the expansion and contraction like at the same time, which is interesting.
Yeah, I think that's all the time though. You're always expanding and contracting in different areas. You're not always expanding in every area.
You're not always, no, but you're not always having both of the duality either.
You're either expanding or you're contracting. There is no standing still. So,
I know that, and right now we have both. That's what I'm saying.
We always have both though.
We don't. We are so in a space to just argue about all the things.
So let me ask you this. So when you're expanding, you're saying that no matter what, you're expanding in every single area that you could possibly expand in.
No, I just said that. We're not always expanding in every area. That's no.
Okay, so you're always expanding and contracting. So if you're not expanding in an area, what are you doing? You're not staying still, because that's not even a fucking option.
Right. We have the duality all the time. That is something that we have always. Yep.
Yeah, but I think it's just been more prominent lately. Like, it's just been so very apparent, is what I'm saying. Because although I think you're agreeing with me just to fucking end the conversation, I think that's a legitimate statement, is that you are always expanding and you are always contracting, and you're always doing both at the same time, just in different areas. So, like, the money might be great, the financial standpoint might be great, but the relationship might suffer. Or the physical body, you're getting to the gym and doing all that stuff might be really shit, but the home life, just family life or whatever, is really great. In all different areas. So, because would you agree that you can't stand still? You can't.
Yeah, we've talked about that. There's
but
there's
like
growth or there's death. There's no.
Yeah. Well, I know, but I'm just trying to clarify, because from what I'm hearing literally 2 minutes ago, that you were saying like that you could stand still. So that's what I was clarifying.
I didn't say anything about
You
standing
didn't
still. I said it's
specifically
really
say-
interesting because we have the duality right now, and you said, well, you always have it, and I said, and maybe it is the most like apparent thing that, like you said, things are more apparent now in that aspect. But
We definitely have to go back and rewatch this, because you were talking about expanding, and you were like, well, you're not expanding, you're not contracting, or we'll have to go back and look at it, because it's not those specific words, but we digress. You're always expanding and contracting in life, regardless. And just because you're expanding in one area doesn't mean you're going to expand in another area. So, like, the fact that we're expanding in the, I don't even know what you would call it, the area of vulnerability, maybe. And I feel like vulnerability is a great one, because you're moving from your support group, you're moving from everything else, and you're going to jump into this. I'm now relying on somebody for a paycheck, which is abnormal for me. I'm buying a fucking house out here and everything else. You know what I mean? So we're expanding in some areas. I think we're expanding in the larger areas, but we're contracting in the smaller areas, like the gym, the TV, those specific things.
more like the discipline things.
Yeah, for sure. And I think obviously part of it's because of our lack of discipline in general, 100%. Which leads to, or I guess, these things kind of show our flaws. So the fact that we've missed the gym so many times recently, or in the past couple weeks, and the fact that we do have a TV in our room right now, and the fact that we have been drinking pop a lot lately, and the fact that we have been going out to eat a lot lately, it's because of the lifestyle or the circumstances that are going on. So the circumstances have showed chinks in our armor, essentially. Or chinks in our discipline, I should say. So, because there was still multiple days that we could have gone to the gym. Some days they were like, okay, we're on a 12-hour drive. Can you make it to the gym still? Sure, yes. But I think, unless you're trying to go above and beyond like a Goggins, I don't think that's necessary. Because like there's 3 days that I made that drive in 1 week that like I could have went to the gym, but I feel like that's over the top, which is fine. But there's a lot of other days before then that I could have, the day before, the day after, and stuff like that we still could have made it to the gym, but we made different choices. Like we were tired, or we wanted to go out with our friends, or shit like that. So.
Yeah, I feel like that one for me, especially because I'm not working at this point, is easier for like I'm much more consistent now.
Yeah, for sure. Yep.
Which I also recognize, because even like if I do start to work, like because we're very much ones like we get up in the morning and go to the gym, but there are days that like we don't sometimes, and so normally in the past, if we didn't make it in the morning, we're not getting there later, which is like still excuse BS stuff because you can get there later. Like we have plenty of time, even like by the time you get home and we do dinner, like we have hours available to us.
Yeah, yeah.
So I've just been thinking about that too. Like even if I don't get to the gym in the morning when I am working, like I still have the ability to get there later.
Yeah, for sure.
And that's just a choice. Or I've been walking with our dog, which is nice too, because it's not like a workout, but it still makes me feel like I moved twice today, or like even though I didn't make it to the gym, I still went for like this walk, and that's nice.
For sure.
So there are some things that I think I've personally added into that I wasn't doing when we were in Michigan, like walking. I also have been reading more now than I was when we were like leaving Michigan. I was barely reading at that point.
Yeah, I've gotten back to the same consistency as I was in Michigan, but not as much as I would have in the past. So that's definitely something I'm working my way back into.
I think real quick, I don't know if you want to stay on this topic, but I just want to point it out because you mentioned like the kinks
in your armor.
In our armor, like some of those things when we were really comfortable, like before we had decided to make the move and all of those things, like we were in kind of like the autopilot mode. So it was easy to be more disciplined. It was easy to not drink a lot of pop. It was easy. We weren't going out a ton. It was easy, I guess, but like it was just routine to like not drink pop, to not go out a lot, to get to the gym.
Yeah.
And then when we shook everything up, then I think it just showed
there's a lot of turbulence.
Yeah, and our discipline, like yes, it's a choice, but it was also just in the routine of how we lived life. Yeah. And then when that all shifted and changed.
Routines are one of the most important things that you could ever fucking do. Like, children need routines, animals need routines, and we need routines. And if you don't have a regular schedule, you're fucked. Your life will be chaos. And then you're gonna wonder why your fucking kid's life is chaos and why they're not responding well, or your fucking animals aren't responding well, and shit like that. You need structure. There has to be a schedule. And as of recently, we're trying to figure out what our schedule looks like, because doing that trip in 3 weeks, like that fucks your schedule up hard, because you're still tired even the day after. Because of the fucking drive and stuff, like it still fucks with your head. Not to say that we couldn't make it to the gym, but it's still a thing. And, like moving, just the whole process, because her family was over, my friends were over, my parents were over. So then we don't have anything here, so you almost have to go out to eat, because that's like our best option at this point. So then, I'm out to eat, might as well get a pop, or, shit like that. But now as everything has settled down, we haven't gone back out to eat really, and yeah. So.
Yeah, and I think like you said, we're trying to figure out what our schedule and what our routine looks like, because we have had a lot of turbulence, but then even getting here, like you said, we had guests here, your friends, or our friends, and my mom, and then your parents, and so there was no period where we were just you and I to figure out how things work here for us.
Yeah, there's no adjustment. There was no adjustment period, because it was still constantly changing.
Right.
So literally your mom left on Tuesday, and then did my dad show up on? Well, my dad showed up on Saturday.
But the days before that, we were doing stuff for the wedding.
Yeah, yep.
It was just,
But anyways, yeah. What were we gonna chat about then? Now we're fucking 25.
Fire hose.
Okay. Fire hose. Now I'm really irritated, so I can't talk about the other thing.
I'm not even really irritated. You just asked, and then
Um,
Sad, but then
anyways, coming here for me personally, it's incredible because of I was in a big routine. Like I didn't even like I thought I was intaking a decent amount of information, and there's some things that I stopped intaking as much as I did because I used to watch a lot of financial and economic people like Peter Schiff, Robert Kiyosaki. I used to intake those videos like frequently, like probably at least an hour a day, if not more, depending on the day. I listened to multiple hours. So that's kind of been put to a stop for the time being. But there's a lot of other information that I'm intaking. So, like, I've never moved before, but let alone, well, I've never moved out of state before. So now I'm intaking new people, just meeting on a daily basis that people are introducing me to. I'm intaking the procedures and everything at the hotel and how to manage that and make that run more efficiently. Um, and I'm learning the dynamics there and how everybody, the internal, you know what I mean? The interpersonal dynamics of the relationships and stuff. And there's a lot of people, there's monthlies and nightlies that stay there, so that I need to learn the rooms and who's staying there, who's caught up on rent, who's behind on rent, and just a lot of shit like that. And then there's like the maintenance side of things. Oh, this is broke, that needs to be fixed, and what takes priority, and where do you order food from, where do you order linens from. There's just like, oh, and then booking and Expedia and all that stuff. Like, there's just so much information to intake in such a short amount of time that's just being constantly thrown at you. So I'm literally drinking through a fire hose right now of intaking information. And there's going to be some information that kind of like gets put to the wayside because I just missed it because I'm intaking so many other things that take higher priority. Um, but and then not to mention the area here, like where things are, who to talk to for this, if I need something fabricated for metal, and because before I knew who to go to out there, but now I need to know basically the lay of the land, the businesses. It's just insane because I've started jobs before, in my younger years, where you would go and essentially you would learn the job. You're learning the employees and how they work with each other, and you're learning the job and a few other just small things. But you're not uprooting your whole life in learning every fucking thing new. Like, it's just astronomical. It's just like, holy shit, because I thought I was growing and intaking information before, and I'm like, holy fuck. Like, this is, like, it's just, I'm not complaining by any means. I don't want people to think that I'm whining or complaining. It's just the perspective that I've personally experienced as of recently. It just is what it is. And I enjoy it because I'm a runner and a gunner, I always say. And I like to just constantly be learning and constantly do stuff. And now that I'm like here, I recognize how stagnant my life was over there because I thought I was growing. Like I said, I thought I was learning, I thought I was doing stuff, and then I come over here and I'm like, holy fuck. Like, this is way different. This is just a lot more. Like, you have to be able to become an individual that can take that type of stress. Because before then, I was comfortable. I knew the routine. I had a routine. I kind of anticipated what to expect. I knew what to expect. I knew what was going to go on. But now I'm just like, holy fuck, this has been thrown at me. That's been thrown at me. And this has been thrown at me. And you have to respond quick enough to be able to take care of all these issues or know who these people are and circumstances that arise. So, yeah, I mean, What's your experience on it? I feel like you just sit here a lot and just...
I sit here a lot.
Yeah.
You are right now talking about your experience. So
Yeah.
I'm letting you talk about it. What do you want me to do, interrupt you?
You can input.
You don't have lots of pauses. You can go back and look at that, but it's like normal common courtesy to not interject when... I was just waiting for you to like finish up your experience and then I was going to talk about mine.
Okay, proceed.
Well, gosh, you're on another level today.
I'm on another level every day.
I wonder, do you feel odd when you like talk for long periods of time and I don't say anything? Is that why you said that
Well,
like that?
No, I just feel like you should be intaking and inputting and whatever else as well.
I should be. You like talk for like 2
Should
minutes.
be.
You were just talking about your experience. I was letting you talk about it.
Okay, continue. Talk about yours.
For anyone that knows me, that makes me not want to do it because I'm being told what to do. Well, as you were talking about your experience, I was sitting here agreeing that can be overwhelming. And for me, because you talked about this before, which I don't know, whatever, we're in some weird space right now, but you're like, well, I feel like that's just my experience because like right now I'm not working, so I don't have that like learning curve of learning something new or different or being in a new place. I am also experiencing like the new people situation. So what I was thinking about was last week Friday we were at a rehearsal dinner and we just met so many people and like all these names, and I was like, I'm not gonna remember all this stuff, like, and that alone is just like one piece of your experience. Hold on, where was I gonna go with? Something about being at home, or when we are home, being in Michigan. I don't know where I was gonna go with that.
Well, being in Michigan, obviously, we don't have to intake. Like, we're meeting new people, but we're meeting new people at a very low rate in comparison.
Yeah, like it's been probably like, I don't know, 50 plus people. For me, even alone, just like thinking about like wedding stuff and rehearsal dinner, let alone all the people that you've met.
Because you have to remember, you don't have to, but theoretically you want to remember, their name, obviously, what they do, and then, when you talk to them, they typically give you some sort of backstory of how they're related and who, whether they're family here and where they grew up and where they currently live and, just...
And there's even things with like moving that in theory, right? Like I'm gonna need to change my ID and I'm gonna need to do this. But like you were even mentioning before we started that like even the processes of like how Michigan does stuff versus how South Dakota does stuff is so different. So like we like needed to change our license and like that process doesn't look the same as it does in Michigan. Or if you want to like carry a gun or like get your license, that looks very different here than it does in Michigan.
Yeah, you have to learn the rules of the land. For instance, you guys will get a kick out of this. I know I do at least. These cocksuckers want me to pay the difference on tax on a vehicle that I purchased well over a year ago back in a different state. Granted, Michigan's tax is what is it, 6%, and here it's like 4.5% for a vehicle. So. So I won't have to pay the difference. But I'm like, who gives a fuck? It was never purchased in your state. What does it matter? Like,
yeah, so if you paid less taxes out of state for this vehicle
within the past 2 years,
and South Dakota's taxes would be more than that, you need to pay that difference to South Dakota. Which is so weird.
That's fucking bullshit. So I asked him, are you going to refund me the money if it's less than? Well, no. Well, then fuck off. Because you either do both or you don't do any, in my personal opinion. Like, and there's a lot of other bullshit things,
yes,
too.
Yes, there is. I've been hearing it for weeks.
Yeah, it's fucking ridiculous. As soon as you get the government involved with anything, like, it's none of their fucking business. We shouldn't even have titles for cars, in my personal opinion. Fuck you. It doesn't matter. Anyways. Um, yeah. So basically, drinking from the fire hose has just been insane. Um, and like,
I feel like you handle it so much better than I would too. Like I can imagine myself being very overwhelmed.
um, I'm trying to think of a time that I'm overwhelmed, but it's typically just when I'm like dealing with people that I can't get to do what I need them to do. I don't even necessarily say that's overwhelmed. I say that's fucking irritation. I'm like, bro, just fucking do what I am asking you to do. And you know, whether that's because of their skill set or their willingness. For instance, when I went to the bank, I'm just like, well, how do we get this fucking money into the account now? Like, and yeah, it was a whole process because obviously we were transferring money from the banks, and I was told by like 3 different people they weren't gonna fucking waive my wire fee, and then the fourth one it was like, well, let me ask, and so then she gets it waived. Like I already got refunded. It was like $15. I'm like, bro, it's not even that big of a deal. You're already fucking paying that person to be here regardless. They're already here. It doesn't matter whether they're doing this or that. So for the fucking 5 minutes that they're gonna take to accept this wire, and you're gonna pay $15, you might as well just give me my money back because you should theoretically want my money in your bank sooner than later in order to make money off my money. So, you know, I'm like, if you know how things work, then you can use that knowledge to your advantage and kind of persuade your point because it's just going to work in their benefit. And then you can turn it around and say, hey, I know this is going to work in your benefit. Why don't you fucking do me a favor? And, you know, it'll work for both of us. So, yeah, I've just been irritated. I think it's not even all the time, though. I've just been in an irritation space. You think it has been all the
No,
time?
I'm agreeing with you. It's not all the time. Like I said, just this morning you were like chill and fun and
Because
silly.
I wasn't even necessarily super irritated with that lady at the bank. I was just like, I was just stern and assertive, and you know, I wasn't being a prick. I was just like, I thought you were gonna let me talk to her. She hung up and told me that she'd let me talk to her. But yeah, just like yeah, that's all I really got as far as that. I mean, I can't really think of anything. It's just I thought I was growing. And I thought I was intaking a lot of information, and now I just realized, like, holy shit, this is a whole different game. So,
Yeah, it'll be interesting once like we are officially settled and feel more like in routine, and because then there's like this is right now, but then even looking like future stuff for you specifically, there's going to be a lot of other stuff that you're going to like start
yeah,
to learn and like intake info on that
yeah.
isn't happening yet.
Yeah, I mean, I've already been here for 2 weeks, basically, and I've already just got informed that one gentleman is leaving, and I'm going to have to at least temporarily do his job for 6 to 8 weeks. So, and he's like their finance guy. So now I'm going to learn how to do that, which it's funny because people like when they're telling me this, oh, you'll be fine. And I've had another lady from a bank like, oh, you got big shoes to fill and blah blah blah. I'm like, just is what it is. I'm like, I'm not concerned about it. And they're like, oh, you'll be fine, you'll be fine. Like I'm already concerned, and I'm like, I'm not concerned. I'm just like, okay, cool, let's fucking do it. Like I don't have the like limiting. Well, I do have limiting beliefs, but I don't have limiting beliefs in these particular things.
Well, I think you don't have a limiting belief around your ability to figure stuff out. Like you know that you can figure it out.
Yeah, but even so, if that was the case, then I'd probably be even further along in life. Like I'd probably be a multimillionaire by now. So I
Do you
think
not believe that then?
do I not believe what?
That you can figure stuff out. Do you believe is that a belief that you have of like whatever the situation is in front of you, you can figure it out? Or
I think it just depends on the circumstance. The circumstance. I think anything is too broad. I think if you throw something at me and, you know, I'm like, oh, okay, I can figure that out, no big deal. But if you be like, okay, how do you start $1 million business in a year? I don't believe I can figure that out. I'm like, I don't, like, how do I generate $1 million within a year of revenue in a year? I, I haven't done it, so I don't think I can. I definitely don't.
You haven't done like payroll and stuff before, but you think you'll be fine.
Yeah, but that's not something that I had any desire to do. And payroll is like payroll. Payroll is like, what the fuck? It's just a bunch of figuring out how many hours someone worked and then what is their pay and then timesing it by that and figuring out the system that's already been put in place. I'm just a plug-in, you know. Now, if I'm supposed to build $1 million revenue business in 1 year, like, fuck, where do I even start? Like, I got no idea, you know. But there's already a system in place. Like, how big of a, like, you gotta be a major fuck up if you can't figure that out. Like, this guy's already doing it, and he's literally gonna show me how to do it. Now, if I had a guy go, hey, come here, I wanna teach you how to start a fucking business and to do $1 million of revenue in a year, I'd be like, okay, cool, I'd probably still be intimidated because that is such a high ceiling goal, I guess. Or like a high caliber goal. Like payroll is a very low caliber task, I feel like, you know, like anybody could fucking do that. But the fucking, now if you want to scale $1 million business in a year, like that's like, no, not many people can do that, you know. So I think it all depends on the caliber of goal.
Which is subjective.
I would yeah, to a degree. Do you think doing $1 million business in revenue would be a challenge if you had to do that?
Yeah, but that's just my opinion about it. You ask Robert Kiyosaki, and he'd be like, "That's easy." That'd be like payroll to him.
Yeah, probably.
So it's subjective, like what that caliber is. But
yeah,
it all
but
just is like.
But you're not. People on fucking Robert Kiyosaki's caliber are. There's very little. Like there's.
Well, yeah, but it's still subjective. It's still.
Yeah, but I'm just. Yeah.
I'm not saying everybody's doing it.
Yeah.
That's not what that means.
I agree. So, I mean, any fucking peon task, like, you know, like figuring out the bookings and stuff like that, like, I just jumped in and was like, okay, how do you do this? All right, cool. Like, I'll just do it a fucking few times. I sat on the computer and I did a couple bookings and I did this and I'm like, okay, cool. Like, okay, what's payroll? Okay, payroll can't be any harder than fucking taxes. Like, okay, break this down. Okay, you know, like, just fucking numbers that are already there and with a system that's already there and you just basically have to plug this information into this information and it'll figure out this information and then bam. Should be all good. So but anyways, my whole point to that is like I'm talking to these individuals and like, don't freak out, you'll be okay. And I'm like, I'm not freaking out. I know I'll be okay. It's not that big of a deal. Like I also think a lot of people, like, I figure, like, if you can do it, I can do it type of thing, you know, for the most part. Like, now, if you start doing, like, geometry, well, yeah, a little bit of geometry probably, with the angles. I'm not the greatest with the angles and stuff, but, like, I'm talking about algebra and calculus and shit like that. I'm like, I'd be intimidated by that if I had to do it, because I'm like, I got no fucking clue, and not to mention, it's, you know, I guess it's not worthless, but mostly worthless for the average individual. So yeah, those are the fire hoses that I'm drinking from, and my schedule has been fucked up for the past 3 weeks approximately.
It just is.
Yeah, it is fucked up.
David, and then whatever you're just watching, like it wasn't good, it wasn't bad. Just was.
Yeah, I'm not saying it was good or bad. I'm just saying it's fucked up.
Okay.
Your attachment to fucked up must be a certain way.
I'm not trying to make. I was just saying. It popped into my head, so I said it out loud. Well, because you're like, I'm not judging you for saying fucked up. I don't care what you labeled it. It just popped in my head, so I said it. Talk about being authentic.
There's multiple times I wanted to punch you in the face throughout this, but now it's not even that much.
Mine's definitely waxed and waned also.
Whacked and waned?
Waxed and waned.
Oh, waxed and waned. Gotcha.
Stupid fly in your elbow.
I know, it's fucking annoying. I killed like literally 8 of them before. But this was a fucking fucked up podcast.
Yeah, I think it also just proved, like, part of me was like excited to get back into it, but it also just shows like how long we've been out of it, because I feel like this was a hot mess.
Yeah.
We'll get there.
Yeah,
Just
for
gotta
sure.
get back into
I
this
feel like
cycle.
tomorrow or the next episode will be totally fine because
I also just won't, when he tells me to switch him chairs, I just will. So I'll keep him in a good, calm space before we get started.
it's funny because I would say I'm probably right or I'm accurate
Ego.
80% of the time.
Ego.
I
will agree with that. Like, you're generally,
And
but.
the point is, I am generally right. I'd say 80% of the time with just random bullshit things, just general information or best way to fix things and stuff like that. Maybe even more. I don't know, but we'll say 80% of the time. So when I was like, "Hey, let's just switch chairs," and you're like, "Go with that one," and I'm like,
Because
"I
I'm
already."
comfortable in my chair. Because you can't sit still. I have to be uprooted from my comfort. Yes, I know how that sounds. I was just saying. I was like, dude, this is fine. Just go grab your chair.
Well, granted, yeah, I could have practiced being better at that on that chair, and if you would have
And you're
presented that opportunity, sure, that would have been the thing. But I just know I'm self-aware enough to know how I am.
And you're like so against fidgets. You're like the epitome of fidget.
Yeah, but I would have been doing that. It's a distraction. Fidgets are fucking exactly. That would have been a fidget for me. One, I would not have been focused on the conversation, and two, it would have been a distraction in general because it would have made the noise. If you understand how people's minds who need fidgets actually work, like I do because it's my fucking mind, then you start to recognize fidgets actually aren't like they're kind of like a TV for kids. Like, here, stuff you in front of this and then it'll keep you occupied. Same thing with this. Instead of forcing the child to develop the skills and able to in order to focus and learn and everything else, then let's just give him this thing that won't make a lot of noise probably. They're usually a spinny thing or like a flip thing or whatever else.
You're so behind the times with fidgets, but
typically they're not noisy. So kids in church can sit on it with it or whatever, and so they can occupy themselves essentially, and they don't have to. So they can focus on this rather than focusing on this.
I get that. I mean, this is probably a whole other topic, but I get that to a degree. But also, like, kids don't learn by not moving their bodies at all. That's like the whole issue with, like, one of the issues with public schooling is sit here for 8 hours a day, don't move, listen to all these things. That is not how kids learn.
I couldn't agree with you more. I 100% agree.
But I understand there is value in being able to focus and concentrate at the same time.
If anything, what you need to do is to first. The recess should happen first. One, you give them a good breakfast, a good whatever, and then you fucking tire the kids out. A tired dog is a good dog, So you fucking tire the kids out, and then you bring them in, and they're much less likely to fidget. Like, that's why I go to the gym. That's why I do these things. Like, and then if I tire myself out and get a lot of energy, pent up energy out in the beginning of the day, I'm much less likely to be fidgety. I'm much more likely to focus.
You're much more likely to leave me alone.
So, I understand how fidgets work, and I agree the public school system is completely family school. That's why they literally put them in there, and that's why we got them on Adderall and Ritalin and fucking antidepressants and bullshit like that, because they're sedating the kids. They're just, instead of doing it naturally through exercise and physicality, they're just fucking putting them under with fidgets and fucking pills, So I'm very aware of how I operate, and if the child is anything like me, or the adult, whatever, if the individual is anything like me, I can fucking tell them what they need to do in order to whatever. Because I personally have accomplished it. Results don't lie,
It's
though.
fine. I'm just over your tangent.
Results don't lie. My mom said the doctor wanted to diagnose me with ADHD back when I was a kid, and she's like, no, we're not putting them on fucking pills. You know, thankfully they didn't, otherwise I'd be even more fucked up than I already am.
Amen.
Anyways, that brings our podcast to a conclusion. We're going to rewatch this, and I can make a point to my wife here in regards to the understanding thing and the contracting and expansion thing. We'll let you know how it goes in the next episode. Thank you for joining us.
So dumb. We should start doing polls. Who thinks Montana has the biggest ego? Who thinks Andrea has the biggest ego?
Depends on the day.
True.
Today,
is
me.
massive. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the greatest part about me. I am self-aware. Now, whether I'm willing to... God fucking damn it, dude. I'm so sick of this. Whether I'm willing
to make any changes.
Yeah. At the moment. In the moment. I'm willing to make any changes in the moment. Now that's, because I think a lot of the times, I'd say it's probably 60-40 as far as ego goes.
You being...
I don't think you want to know the answer to that question.
You being...
40. I think you do have a bigger... I think your ego, it's not bigger, it's more often.
It's louder.
It's just more often.
Yeah, I guess it makes sense.
I think my ego is more... When it's there,
bigger.
It's more pronounced. But I feel like mine is less often. Bring it to conclusion. I already did it once.
Well, yeah, because that was a shitty conclusion. Okay. Thanks for being here, if you made it this far into our
fucked up shit.
Hot Mess podcast. We'll get better. We'll get back at it. Promise.
It was just the day. I don't think it has anything to do with us lacking. I think it just has to do with the day. Anyways, thanks for joining us. Check us out on our lacking Instagram, Facebook. Obviously, you're watching this on YouTube. And we'll see you next week for sure. So, bye.
See ya.